I'm Julia. Welcome to my channel, Freestyling It at Sharing the Discovery. I am mom to 3 young kids, and we embrace learning as a lifestyle. This video is intended to give a little window into our school week. It is by no means the whole scoop of what we did and learned or read together, but it's a little snapshot that is a lot of fun to make and shows different aspects of our learning journey together. Included in this video is my children sharing feedback about what they saw as a highlight from their learning this week. And I will share what I'm reading related to the topic that we've been studying, as well as a few other little tidbits that I think are fun. So thanks for joining us on the video, and I hope that you enjoy the ride. If you appreciate this content, please do hit like, and if you want to leave a comment below, I would appreciate that, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more. Often in these videos, I'm sharing mainly what we are studying as a unit study this week, and I don't usually include the other subjects that we are doing on a regular basis, like math, and my children are learning how to read. But our unit studies have covered so many different topics and subjects, such as geography and history and science and art, etc. I gain my inspiration from God's Big World, which you would be familiar with if you have watched any of my other videos on the topic. God's Big World is a current event newsletter, and one of the articles in the pamphlet each week is highlighted in their parent-teacher guide, and this week it was this glow-in-the-dark concrete sidewalk situation that is being developed in Cairo, Egypt. The parent-teacher guide gave me a bit of suggestions as to what I could do with glow-in-the-dark activities, and so I bounced off of that, and instead of just investing in glow-in-the-dark activities, I decided to investigate animals that seem to glow in the dark. Bioluminescent, they're called, which I think is such a fun word. Bioluminescent. I just had to say that over and over when I was reading a book to the kids with that word in it, and I made them repeat it after me too. I just think it's such a fun word. Bioluminescent. All right, so moving on. So we looked mainly at jellyfish, and I used this book as a good resource for reading. It has lots of great pictures in it and interesting ways of conveying the information. And here was another really interesting, fun book that also related to animals that glow in the dark. Not specifically jellyfish, but I thought it was a wonderful overview, and there were some interactive pages in it as well that made it quite an enjoyable and engaging read. All right, well, let's hear from the kids about what they enjoyed from learning this week.
Sometimes ships don't get sink into the bottom sometimes, but they do often. This is interesting. A big boat cannot sink to the bottom.
You don't think so?
Well, it actually can, but a rock would sink to the bottom rather than a boat because it has lots of bigness inside. But more than a submarine, it sinks to the bottom, but it doesn't get broken.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah.
So you talked about things that sink. You've talked about rocks and ships that sink. And we were learning specifically about something that floats, that doesn't sink, and that doesn't swim. And what was that? What kind of animal were we specifically learning about this week? Oh, I think you found it.
They can live in cold or hot water.
Do you want to show me the picture?
But there is lots of jellyfish that are colored.
Yes.
And there's green, there's blue, and all those kinds.
Yeah, cool.
But the painful jellyfish might be painted red.
My daughter was sharing from this book on a submarine, which is a board book that I originally picked out for my 2-year-old son, my youngest, as kind of a way of letting him have a resource that is subject related that he might enjoy and pick up. But as you'll see in the next clip, my son was interested enough in other stories as well that we had read. He's going to be sharing from this book, Spencer and Vincent, the Jellyfish Brothers, which is a really fun story about 2 jellyfish brothers and how they stick together through the different challenges that come along their way.
What's her name?
It was a brother, right? There were two brothers. That one's Spencer.
Okay, what's his name?
Vincent.
And what's this his name?
I think that was Horace. Was that the name of the whale?
I think it was. And look, some can't go way over there.
You're right. Jellyfish can't swim very fast.
Yeah. And look, and it's happy.
Mm.
And look, there's the octopus.
You're right.
Okay, before my oldest shares, I just want to jump in here and say we did something really fun this week as a part of our learning on jellyfish. First of all, we read this book, Bubbles, and it's about a jellyfish and a narwhal who are friends and find a bubble. I read this in the morning, and I had planned for one of the evenings this week, and it ended up to be that evening to be a special bubble bath. Glow sticks and with these little jellyfish silicone toys that I had found online. And so we ran the bathtub, and the kids played in the water for quite some time and enjoyed kind of a glow in the dark under the sea experience. I did not plan for these things to mesh so well together, which happens a lot, I feel like, in the way I plan and approach school, is that things connect. I'm like, oh, I didn't even plan for that to connect, which is really fun. Okay, here's my son now sharing one of his highlights from the week.
So what I'm sharing about today is on clay, and we poured water in it, and then the coin went somewhere else instead of where it was.
Okay, so you had a glass bowl.
Yes.
You had a piece of clay in it.
Mm-hmm.
What did you push into the clay?
A coin.
A quarter. Okay, so I poured the water, but where were you standing?
On the bench.
Okay, so you were standing quite far back. And so you were watching as I poured the water in. And what we were learning about is how the light hits the water and it looks like there is 2 quarters in there because the water changes the way the light bounces off things. So you could see 2 quarters from where you were standing, even though there was only
1.
Right. And where did we do this science experiment?
At co-op.
Just as a quick comment on his highlight, which I find interesting, is that there have been several weeks driving away from co-op that he has said to me, I don't want to go back to co-op. I don't like co-op. It's not fun for me. And then when it comes time to share highlights of the week, that's what he wants to share about. He wants to share about co-op. Each time he has complained about co-op, I've been understanding that sometimes it's not always fun. It can be a long morning. There are sometimes different challenges associated with learning with other children, especially with children who are different ages. But I always encourage him that there's always a positive to come away from with each co-op, and that we're going to keep trying. We are committed to being a part of this co-op for the year, and there are a lot of lovely people who are a part of this co-op, and it's a lovely community to be a part of. So even though it can be challenging and we can come away from it feeling tired, there is benefit from it. So it seems affirmative to me that without my having to prompt, he has picked his highlight associated with the co-op for the past few weeks. Also, as a side for our study on jellyfish, I made little gelatin gummies, which I'll show you now. And we brought those to co-op to enjoy as our snack. Okay, I always look forward to this part when I get to share with you what I'm reading this week. And I've really enjoyed this book this week. This is called Phosphorescence, a memoir of finding joy when your world grows dark, and it's by Julia Bayard. I have really enjoyed this book. I've read about that far, and I've taken notes, and to me it actually really hasn't been like a memoir format to me where she documents her own personal journey and story. She hits on several different topics. Her part 1 is on awe, wonder, and silence. And part 2 is about telling our imperfect stories. And part 3, which I'm currently in right now, is the art of friendship. And there's one more part after that, which I haven't hit on yet, and it's called Invincible Summer. And it has the subtitle of Look and Savor. Okay, it's been really hard for me to narrow down my quote selection as to what I want to share here. I think I'm going to start out with one quote that really caught me right off the bat in her book, and it goes like this: Awe makes us stop and stare. Wonder makes us stop and ask questions. I'm going to share two other quotes with you, one being about street art, which connects to me because if you have watched my previous videos, I just read a book called The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers, and we were studying street art as a unit study. And so this particular quote is a quote from a street artist. His name is Roan. Roan told me recently, if you are lucky enough to come across a piece of work you like, you know it may not be there the next time you visit. So you have to appreciate it in the moment. The author here was talking about being able to appreciate things in the moment and how street art is all about the moment, because the buildings that have street art on it are often demolished fairly soon afterwards, or the paintings will fade because they're exposed to the elements. And so Roan is commenting on how the street art keeps you in the moment. All right, the last one is a quote that I find relates to this whole documentation journey of mine, of putting our highlights from the week on YouTube. So here we go. Why do we preserve archives? The stuffed boxes in our attics that tell our own stories, as well as those in distinguished libraries that preserve the documents of influential figures. And where is the line between hoarding and preservation? What it is crucial to understand is that to keep records is to insist on significance. By doing so, you place something on record and assert it is of note. You are saying it is something people should remember, that they may want to find out about at some point. If it is marked down, they will be able to do that. I found that such an interesting thought. I am not a very sentimental person, and so I have kept a few things from childhood, but I don't feel that I keep things mainly because of sentimental value. I keep things mainly because they are of use to me, or I enjoy them, or I'm going to enjoy them in the future, such as books. But I consider it an interesting thought in relation to my putting out YouTube videos. I really enjoy documenting our homeschool journey and calling attention to it for myself. And that's why I started making videos. And if you have seen my very first video that I made it because it was my delight to do so. And it still is my delight to do so, and it still is my desire to document our journey in this way. And so that's why I'm doing it. But my hope is that my channel can contribute to a sense of inspiration for you as you are participating in your learning journey. I think when it comes down to it, I want to encourage learning, not in childhood only. And what my channel is about is that wonder and learning, which brings me back to the quote from Julia Bard on awe and wonder, that learning is a journey to be continued throughout life, and that there is so much joy in that. Awe brings joy. It just brings this sense of, wow, amazing. There's so much more besides my perspective. There's so much more aside from me. So thank you for joining me on this little documentation of our homeschool journey for this week, and I hope you'll check back, and we'll see you next time.